need you to be active. We need you to make a difference and do everything in your power to change this situation so that every single American can vote. There's so much more to learn, and I'm going to be posting more about this vote by mail on our website at votingrightsalliance.org. If you're able to go there, votingrightsalliance.org. We're going to be posting a lot of information. There's a lot of information already on the website. And I that's a long-winded, but I hope helpful answer to your question.
No, it was a very helpful answer. And thank you, Vinny Cola. The reason you guys saw me getting up and moving around was apparently there was no audio in the beginning.
Oh.
Yeah, so I had to unplug that. There is now audio. I double checked it. Thank you, Vinny, for commenting and letting me know. Um, and apparently the other video was blocked, even though I just saying the climb was blocked for inappropriate content, was flagged and removed by Facebook. So the show is just being a little bit difficult tonight, but that's some of the struggles with technology.
Yes.
And like you said, not having anybody that,
well, thank you, Vinny.
Thank you, Vinny.
Thanks for that information. Yes. And again, people, vote by mail is no panacea. It's not, it has nothing to do with fraud. That's just made up nonsense by some leaders, GOP leaders. I'm just saying who did it, not being partisan, from Georgia and the president talking crazy. It's just not true. There's no, that's not, vote by mail allows for every person, where it's done correctly, every person is sent a ballot. And when I say every person, every registered voter. And in fact, one of the impediments is that some states won't send a ballot to those on the inactive list, which means they don't, yes, if you're on the inactive list because they think that you moved or that you didn't vote the last couple of times and they think that you may not no longer be a registered voter in their state, they won't even send you a ballot, even though you're on the voter registration list. So we just want to be very clear that there are barriers. I talked about Native Americans. I talked about people with disabilities. I talked about the problem. I should have talked about the problems for students. The fact that African Americans are 2 to 3 times more likely than whites to have their ballots rejected. I talked about the problem with the postage. That the best systems, they send you a pre-addressed postage or free postage envelope in their state, but a lot of people find out that their ballots, absentee ballots or vote by mail, get rejected because they don't have the right postage on it or no postage. We also find out that there's other kinds of, we talked about the witnesses, that they want you to have a witness or a notary in some states. Well, how are you going to do that if it's right. COVID-19 and you're sitting at home? Right. And you shouldn't be interacting, right?
Right.
And you and I kind of got keep a little bit more distance between ourselves. But we've been doing good. You should see us at the house. We've been really doing good, and in keeping up our best hygiene, best health. You got to see me Lysol and everything down.
Got the Lysol.
Oh yeah, we serious. The mask, the gloves. We doing this thing because we believe in the best practices. But let me also be clear, because it's so hard for people, that we know that the work has to be done in the states to get rid of these bad laws. I'm glad for the lawsuits that I mentioned in Wisconsin. I'm glad for the lawyer groups that threatened the state of Maryland and made Maryland change their mind so that they're now going to have some on-site polling places open for the upcoming election to replace the wonderful, amazing Congressman Elijah Cummings, and for other elections. So we got to have options. It can't just be vote by mail. It's also got to be drive-in voting, as we mentioned, where you can come by and do curbside voting, or where you can drop your ballot into a drop box. That needs to happen, and we got to have some on-site polling places, because that's the only thing that certain people can do. So let's be very clear that there's no one answer, that we need voting options, and we need these states to lower every barrier to voting by mail.
Right, because vote by mail, while it has its benefits,
Every one of them could be
issues that
corrected.
can be prevented and corrected with the correct advocacy. And thank you so much, Barbara, for recapping kind of what you said. So as the video went out, because I'll probably cut the video only to the portion when I said we have the audio back. So if you didn't hear it, welcome to Karaoke Live. And with me is Barbara Arnwine, president and founder of the Transformative Justice Coalition.
Doing my Shiro superhero look today, because it's all about the American flag and it's all about voting, which is the best part of a democracy. One thing that no one can change is that on election day, your vote is as good as Michael Bloomberg's. Your vote is as good as President, Trump. Your vote is the same. Everybody gets that one vote.
Yes.
And it's how many of us vote a certain way. So it's so important for us to remember that, the flag, these colors are symbolic of our nation. And that I'm saying to all of us that this red here, so much blood that we all have spilled from all races for this country, that we deserve it. Stars, people say, oh, she's up here, doing that American flag thing when Colin Kaepernick was all against it. Well, I'm saying the stars sound for being a hero, getting out there trying to save our nation by voting. So this is all about voting today. And, and if you want to take down white supremacy, if you want to have a nation that reflects the entire electorate, then you need to be part of this. Be a superstar. Please be one by voting.
Be a superstar by voting. And thank you to everybody who has voted.
Yes.
In the past, because that's one thing you said that we don't do enough. We would like to thank our voters.
Yes.
And that's something we also did during today's Twitter storm. So if you want some more information about things that she discussed, we had a Twitter storm today. So if you go to Twitter, and go to @TJC_DC or @Barb73. Follow her on Twitter. She's tweeting great information. @VRA Matters. There's so many different organizations like Vote.org, the National Organization for Women that's at National now. They were a participant as well. There's a lot of great information during today's Twitter storm.
And we used the hashtag R March to Educate. We used the hashtag voter info. So those are good. Voter info.
Or you can look up the hashtags as well.
Yes.
And Vinny Cola is just saying thanks for the important information, which I previously missed. Happy birthday, Barbara.
Oh, thank you.
As well, and stay safe. And yes, we must vote. And Miss Jane Marie Gordon was also at the very top of the show she was on, and she said, "Happy birthday, Barbara," and "Hey, daughter."
Oh, thank you. Well, my birthday was last Saturday, and of course, I'm still celebrating.
Yes.
And and thank you so much. And Caitlin, just thank you for all the wonderful work you do. And before we go too much farther, I want to congratulate you on your COVID relief resources Facebook site.
Thank you.
That is so great. That this upcoming week, one of our local news stations is going to be interviewing and featuring Caitlin Cobb.
Yes.
How do people see that beautiful
I'm not sure, but I'll let you all know when it happens, and I'll post it. Well, I won't post the video here unless I can.
But how do they see your Facebook page?
The Facebook group. The Facebook group, you can look up COVID relief. If you just type in COVID relief to Facebook, you'll see it. It's with the blue logo. It just says Coronavirus Relief Resources Group. Very simple. We have 610 members now, and it's all about, we're focusing all on resources. So just resources.
And it's resources like homeschooling.
Yes, like kids' educational resources. We're going to start election resources as well.
Yes.
Especially now with all the information that we have.
But if you lost your job,
if you lost your job, how to file for unemployment.
Yes.
What to do about your cell phone bills. It's around the 1st of the month. Cell phone bill, Comcast offering 2 months of free internet. That deadline is coming up soon to certain people. So there's a lot of information. Which places, if we also organize it by state. So for instance, if you're in Maryland, which food banks are giving out food in Baltimore, which school districts, what the schedule is, and if you're in California, There's specific resources for California. We're going to be instituting specific resources for Texas. I know we've gotten other requests, such as hotel vouchers and things like that. So there's a lot more resources to come, and there's a lot of resources we already have there that everybody's just loving. And there's even a section just focused on positive news.
All right now, you know we need that. Please, good news.
And there's also going to be a section on non-coronavirus news.
Yes.
So just on news that just isn't about the coronavirus. And we're also going to have little classes that you can take if you want to learn something new. Like Nicole Askins, my moderator, she was on my show last week, and then she's also on Barbara Arnwine's show.
Yes,
she's going to teach you how to make bread. And then,
good.
Yes, and then I'm also going to be still posting the video about how to make hand sanitizer.
Yes.
And I'm still going to be interviewing my friend about how to make homemade masks. She's a fashion designer, Dee Dee Ruffin.
Yes, and, excellent.
Yes, and right now I also I'm posting the entire from 2017 and 2020 Voting Rights Black History series.
Yes.
On the Facebook. So if you want to learn Black history or you want your kids to learn about Black suffrage, you can go there too and look at these units. And you just progress through them, and it's a really great community. If you have any classes you would like to teach, and when I say teach, we just post little steps for people to take and have videos and step-by-step things, just let me know. But yes, go to COVID Relief to join that group.
Yes.
And this is also the 52nd anniversary of the commemoration of the assassination of Martin Luther King Jr.
Yes.
And that's one of the reasons that we were going to have the event this weekend. That is now moved to August 6th through 8th. And that's also one of the reasons we held the Twitter Storms Day. And
yes, in his honor.
In his honor. And tomorrow, there are 2 other events that Barbara will be part of. And on Monday, there is a Facebook Live Teletown Hall featuring some great people, such as Barbara. But first, why don't you tell us about the events that you'll be on tomorrow?
Yes, and I'm so glad that we're actually doing events to share with the nation on the actual anniversary,
yes.
The 52nd anniversary of the assassination of Dr. Martin Luther King. We want to commemorate his spirit and his legacy. The first one you're going to love, it's a Zoom summit, voter summit, and it's been held for lawyers and legal people in California and people who want to go volunteer in what we call voter suppression challenge states. And we know what they are now. Right. Where they, where it's so hard for Blacks to be able to really vote, so hard for Latinos, so hard for Native Americans, so hard for Asians to be able to really get their vote on, including, by the way, all students, because they have this thing against students in some states like New Hampshire and Texas. And
these are the states that Wisconsin. Are still instituting voter ID laws during a lockdown.
Right. They're still doing it. And telling people that in Kentucky, they just passed a voter ID law, people, last week. And it says that people have to get their voter ID from the motor vehicles department, which is closed. Now, you explain that.
Voter suppression.
Where most of them are closed. I won't say every single one, because probably there's one they got open under this time, but most of them are closed. Think about it. That is insane. Kentucky has a stay-at-home order, I believe. So it's just insane that they're telling people that they got to get this ID or they're not going to be able to vote. We're going to have to sue them, right? But anyway, that's what we do. That's what lawyers do. I'm one of them. I don't think every nail needs a hammer, but
if there's a nail that's hurting people,
right? Then we got to do something. So that's one, and I'm so proud that all these people from California want to go into these states and help. They want to go into these small townships where lawyers never go. When lawyers go to Georgia, where do they want to go? You know where they want to go? Atlanta. They want to be in hot Atlanta, or one of the counties, nearby. They don't want to go out into the real small townships in the the eastern part of the state. They don't want to go to the southern part of the state near Florida. But that's where people are needed. They're needed in the Florida. They're needed in South Carolina. They're needed in North Carolina. They're needed in Tennessee. which has, so much voter suppression is making me angry. Alabama, ooh, don't even get me started on Alabama. Mississippi, Louisiana, we need people in Wisconsin. We need people in Ohio.
Florida.
You say, wait a minute, we're no longer in the South. Yeah, that's right. It's not just the South. We
Right.
need people in Florida, as was mentioned, that is the South. But we need
Yes.
people in Ohio, Pennsylvania. We need people in Wisconsin, because these states also engage in terrible and horrendous voter suppression. And we need to make sure across the country. Arizona, I'm sure somebody's saying, wait a minute, don't forget about Arizona. And you're absolutely correct. We won't forget about Arizona. We're not forgetting about Missouri, or Missouri, as people like to say. We're not forgetting about Texas. We're not forgetting about Oklahoma. All of these states where it is really hard for people of color to vote. We're up south, as they say, up south in South Dakota and North Dakota. We know that there's a lot of voter suppression against Native Americans. So we're not being dumb about this. We know that people need help. And what they need is lawyers who know the law, lawyers who can advocate, lawyers can help make sure people vote. You heard my story, I think. If you follow me on Twitter at Barb73, you will see my story from March the 10th election in California, I believe it was, where I ended up having to represent 300 voters who were being threatened that they weren't going to be able to vote because a polling place didn't want to stay open late, even though legally they're obligated to stay open until every last voter who was in line at the time that the poll closed voted. Plus, they were telling people with disabilities that they couldn't have help, that they couldn't get help from people who had come to help them vote. So we had a fight, and literally it took hours, didn't it? 5 hours for us to get all 300 people to vote. And I had to be their lawyer, long distance on the telephone. So lawyers are needed, legal assistants are needed. But guess what? I would never have known about that problem if but for a friend of mine who's not a lawyer, who's not a legally trained person at all. But she saw the problem and she called me and said, Barbara, something's really wrong. They're telling these people they may not be able to vote. Their machines are down. They're having all kind of problems. They don't have enough workers. They only have 2 workers and they got hundreds of people in line. So I was able to, and only 5 machines, by the way. And so I was able to help those people, to those voters, to exercise their right to vote. If they were bold enough, strong enough, and great enough to stand in line for 5 hours, you know I was going to be there for them. And so I want you to know that that's what we're trying to do around the country. I'm so grateful for the lawyers who will be on that call tomorrow. If you want to know more about that call or to join it, go to equaljusticesociety.org. Equaljusticesociety.org. Headed up by the amazing Eva Patterson, one of the best civil rights advocates in the country. But this was the inspiration of one of her young attorneys, Mayor Dawali, who came up with this wonderful idea to have to mobilize these attorneys and send them into the states where they were needed. Now, in case people say, well, wait a minute, what you talking about send them into the states? Guess what? Dr. King, when he was assassinated in Memphis, he didn't live in Memphis. He didn't live in Tennessee. He traveled from Georgia to be there.
Right. His speech on his dream wasn't the actual last speech that he gave. He was actually in Memphis fighting on behalf of sanitation workers.
Exactly. And for them to have fair wages and to have fair working conditions, issues that still plague us to this day. But that reminds you that sometimes you got to get up and move. You were talking about moving mountains today, and that, the mountains got to move. In your opening song. Well, people need to understand that mountains have to be moved, and sometimes we are the movers of the mountains by going where we're needed. Vote absentee early, and go to the places where people need help, because believe it or not, our democracy is so fragile that it doesn't work unless we get in there and make it work.
Yes, we got to be the gears to make it work.
Amen.
That's what I just thought of when he said it.
Yes.
And Vinny Cola, to your point, said, if we can, the time is now.
Yes.
Let's vote the obstructionists out once and for all. If you don't like the way that if you do or if you don't like the way that your leadership is handling the COVID-19 crisis, you need to vote.
Vote.
You either need to vote for them to stay
Vote.
or you need to vote for them to go. But your vote has power. And that's why we're here, and that's why it's so important, even during this crisis. I know you have another webinar as well.
And by the way, the one in California, it starts at 10 o'clock a.m. California time. Go to equaljusticesociety.org to get the information so that you can participate. And if you are in another state, but you know people in California, call them and tell them to go to equaljusticesociety.org, and they will get the information, which I am so proud that once again that they're doing this, and I'm proud and happy to be part of it. And I'll be joined by Sharon Hill, amazing people like Stacy Hopkins and Reverend Dr. T. Anthony Spearman, and the wonderful Jessica Barker. So this is going to be real tomorrow. And for those of us on the East Coast, that's 2:00 p.m. Okay, because you could learn a lot from it also. That evening, the amazing one of my heroes. Oh my God, he's just amazing, and that's Senator Vincent Hughes is going to be putting on a program in honor of Dr. King and his legacy. And we're going to be talking about the right to vote. I'm going to be joining him and others on that program. And we're going to talk about what you need to do to get your vote on. Oh, yes, because this is about every one of us. Guess what? While we're sitting at home right now, we can be voting rights champions.
Right.
We don't have to just be sitting around bored, saying I'm about to die. I can't take looking at this wall again or whatever.
If you are bored, pick up your phone, go through your contacts, call your friends and family, and ask them if they're registered to vote. Ask them to check their voter registration to make sure they haven't been purged and to re-register before deadlines. Go to vote.org to find out all the updated information. You can do a lot right now for voting rights and to help other people. One call can make a huge difference. And if someone says, I'm already registered, they don't really want to talk, just thank them for voting.
Yes, and also, some people aren't sure. So just, help walk them through. Vote.org. You can check your voter registration status in less than 5 minutes. You can register to vote in less than 10 minutes. I mean, this is so easy, folks. There's no reason for us not to do it while we're sitting there. Guess what else you can do while you're sitting at home? Something called the census came in the mail.
This is the year to be counted with your vote and with the census.
And if you got that census and you haven't done it, do it now. Now, some of you looked at it and said, go online. I don't do that. I don't use the internet. I don't understand. Where's the form that I used to fill out? Well, guess what? You can get help where people can send you that form or bring it to your house. And that form, you can get it by going to census.gov.
Yep.
And
it's 2020census.gov.
And you can call up one of your relatives because you don't use the internet and say, I don't know what to do. And they can go to census.gov for you. The young folks, the people who are active. Yes, so take advantage of it. This is your time to get your best on. People are studying languages that they didn't learn fully when they were in college or when they were in high school or when they were in undergrad. People are learning to play instruments that they started learning and never finished. I want to pick up a paintbrush because I used to paint and draw a lot. I haven't done it in ages. So this is the time to renew ourselves, to rejuvenate ourselves, and you can do it by getting your vote on. And that's what I'm going to talk about tomorrow.
Yes, and then that's also what you'll be talking about on Monday, April 6th, when we have our Facebook Live Teletown Hall. We're going to have not only you, but also Reverend Yearwood of the Hip Hop Caucus, Reverend Jesse Jackson of the Rainbow Push Coalition, of course, They will be moderated by Board Chair, TJC Board Chair, Transformative Justice Coalition Board Chair,
The,
Daryl D.
the
Jones.
mighty
The
Daryl.
mighty Daryl D. Jones.
And
also Mayor Jennifer Roberts.
Yes, of
former
Charlotte.
Mayor of Charlotte, North Carolina,
Yes.
who was rocking the Twitter storm
She's
today.
amazing.
Make sure to follow her for some great information.
Force of nature.
And
we got Tony Van Pelt.
Tony Van Pelt, the National Organization for Women. I knew that was some
powerful yes. She's awesome. So it's going to be a really great one. But I should have mentioned that for tomorrow, Saturday. You're saying, wait a minute, Barbara, you didn't tell us how to get on that last one. You can go to Twitter, look up Senator Hughes, at Senator Hughes, at Senator Vincent Hughes, and you will find all the information for how to participate. I really hope you can do that. And on Monday, yes, you're saying, whoa, don't they ever stop? Didn't you just say you had a Twitter storm today? Yeah.
Well, that's because voter suppression is not on lockdown. And voting rights cannot afford to be on lockdown.
They haven't stopped for 1 second. In fact, they're sitting around coming up with more evil, nefarious ideas every second.
It's actually
gotten worse. Because they figure that we can't fight back. Well, we're going to show them that we can.
We may not be listed as an essential business, but fighting for voting rights is
essential. Thank you. Imperative. There should be an imperative list, and that should be on it. And so we did our Twitter storm today. We're doing those 2 events tomorrow. And on Monday, we're going to rock it. We're going to rock it. With the Teletown Hall, you can watch, you can share all over the country, anywhere on Facebook.
Yeah,
you can watch it live.
Yep, you can go to facebook.com/TJC.DC or just look up TJC.DC or just look up Transformative Justice Coalition on Facebook. And you can join. It's going to be Monday from 5:30 p.m. to 7:30 p.m. It's going to be live streamed and it's going to be a great time. And it's going to be great. Really powerful participants. We're going to be talking about a lot of the stuff that we talked about today, plus more. What does it mean for this to be the centennial anniversary of the 19th Amendment?
Yes.
How does, remember, we talked about negative implications of vote by mail, but it also affects not only homeless people, but also people who are returning citizens and those that are sheltered in place at hotels right now. Those that are in domestic violence shelters, because domestic violence shelters have become more and more filled up right now. As people have to stay at home. And then also people that are trapped overseas right now. They can't get back to their families. What if it was in your state and you were like, oh no, I need to get to my family.
Wow.
And now you're with your family right before it started. And so all these places, student voters, as Barbara mentioned, you guys are no longer on your campus. So if you get your mail at your campus, you're going to be missing that mail-in ballot. You were supposed to get it. So all of these issues and more.
And like I said, I'm wearing this not because I believe that somehow, I'm running around singing the American anthem when I know that, parts of it celebrates, trying to keep slavery in place. I, respect everything that Colin Kaepernick has done. I'm wearing this because it is our colors when we vote, the red, white, and the blue. We want everybody to be a star.
Yes.
Be a star, a superstar by voting. Help us defeat white supremacy in everything that you do. Our blood built this country.
Yes.
It was the blood of everybody from Native Americans to people who were enslaved. So that's why Afro descendants and African descendants are descendants of slaves, make so many demands that this country has yet to answer for all the exploitation. So we know that, I don't want people to get this twisted. I am wearing this because this is about, we got to be blue, because right now I'm blue. I'm blue in the sense that I'm blue that all the tragedy that's happening in our country, all this bad mismanagement that's going on, all these horrible governors who have not shut these states down. 8 states. I mean, come on, the flu, they're talking about the flu. Come on, this is no flu. This is a virus, a deadly virus. And it doesn't care about no border. And you talk about, oh, you only got one. Well, you're lucky because it's one right now. But you're going to have many more to come.
And there's other outrageous things going on with this, like the state of Florida requiring photo IDs to get tested.
Oh, come on.
to get tested. And Vote Riders, if you follow them on Twitter, they've been burning it up over this, tagging Florida officials and saying this is ridiculous. How can you expect people to give you a photo ID to get tested?
Well, and also Ron DeSantis, he sat on the truth forever. They knew that Florida was a hot spot.
And then he only shut down southern Florida.
Right.
Reluctantly shut down all of Florida.
Because he's not, there are people who need to vote. You need to vote for the people who you know are good. You need to vote out the people who are bad. You need to vote for all of us. Vote for all of us. You've seen what a good leader looks like. You've seen it in prior leaders. Cuomo, I think. I'm not saying because he's not up for election, so it doesn't matter this year. But look at what a good governor can look like. Look at the Whitner over in Michigan. I mean, none of them are up for election, so I can say how good they are. I just want people to understand that we have choices, and our vote is our choice. It's our voice, but it's also our choice. And if you think I'm rocking it tonight, wait until you hear Tony Van Pelt. Wait until you hear Reverend Yearwood. Wait until Jesse Jackson gets going. Wait until Daryl Jones leads it. Wait until Mayor Roberts does her thing. You haven't heard anything yet.
Yes. So we really want you guys to join us Monday from 5:30 to 7:30 p.m. That's April 6th, this coming Monday, right around the corner.
Facebook Live.
Yes. You can go to tjc.dc. You can just tap it into Facebook and it'll come up. And also, excitingly, though I don't think it's in production yet, but soon you'll be able to watch Facebook Live videos without having a Facebook.
That's going to be really
logged
great.
in, or having even an audio option only. So Facebook is working on that. So I just wanted to share that as well.
Barriers coming down.
Yes. So because Facebook is really taking this opportunity to try to lead the way, to try to really show what they actually can do, and I guess show us all that they actually are responsible for things that are
they need to. They've been horrible.
Yes.
They allowed all that voter interference in 2016. Are they going to do better in 2020? Not clear.
That's what we're going to find out.
They need to. They need to stop those Russians and anybody else who is engaging in horrible voter suppression by telling Blacks not to vote. Yeah. By this pretending that they were Black Lives Matters and other groups, just lying and impersonating, our best to try to dissuade people from voting, and they succeeded. They not only dissuaded people, but they also scared people by telling them that they could not vote because they didn't have the right voter ID or that their vote wouldn't be counted. And they've already started some of that nonsense. So it's important for Facebook to do the right thing. Did you hear me, Facebook? Well, on voting and stopping voter interference, do the right thing.
And you can do your part too by reporting misinformation that you see and not just sharing memes when you see it. Even if it says vote on this day or your state says this, make sure you fact check with your state and local governments or vote.org. Fighting misinformation. Also, it can be easy to even share misinformation unknowingly because every state has different laws. And if someone says, oh, you can do this, your deadline is this, they give you the wrong deadline, you don't make your deadline, and then you can't vote. So that's why misinformation is so dangerous. So that meme that you see, if there isn't a link to click and verify that information, and even if there is, make sure that you verify the information before you share it. Be a vigilant voter.
And you can trust us.
Yes.
So if you go to @VRA Matters, if you go to @TJC_DC, if you go to Barb73,
follow her on Twitter @Barb73.
I'm not gonna mislead you. I'm gonna tell you the truth,
and we're gonna show you where to get the information too.
Yes.
So, thank you so much, Barbara, for being on the show. And there's a lot more to come. Also, by the way, we're going to be holding weekly Twitter town halls, just like we did today, and monthly teletown halls, just like the one on Monday, that you can participate in. So be sure to follow us on social media as well as, of course, here. And thank you so much, Barbara, for being on the show and showing us how we fight for voting rights in this COVID-19 world.
Oh, and one thing I want to say before I leave, thank you so much, Caitlin, for being fabulous. We are so indebted to you. You're the reason why people think we got all the staff in the world. It's just your drive and your energy. I just want to say to people, you're sitting up there and you're saying, didn't I have a primary schedule? When is it rescheduled to? You can go to our website, votingrightsalliance.org, to get information, but you can also go to Ballotpedia.
Yes, Ballotpedia has information that they're updating every day, every weekday, about what your state is doing and what federal and state legislators are doing in response to COVID-19. And vote.org also has a new COVID-19 page that shows all the recent stuff. But you can also go to Ballotpedia. So Ballotpedia and vote.org.
There you go. Thank you.
Great resources. Thank you so much, and thank you for being gracious, Barbara, without the technical issues that we experienced. I'm so glad we got the show going.
Thank you and for that you all guys your leadership. Hear. Thank you for your leadership.
Thank you great. So much. Thank you.
All right. Bye-bye, everybody.
And we're going to bring the camera back up. And I might just sing a cappella for the rest of the night because the mic doesn't seem to be working. And so I thought I could use a different phone tonight, and that might have been the problem. But, you know, what you're going to do. Let me raise this up for you guys. And so I'm just going to sing a cappella because I don't want to take the risk of plugging in the microphone and you not being able to hear it. Let's see. All right, I'll just make sure there was no more. So I did want to sing some songs, but I can also sing them a cappella. All right, so I want to sing El Shaddai. This is a song I've just had stuck in my head lately. I used to sing it all the time when I was a kid. Like I said, I'm going to sing it a cappella. All right. El Shaddai, El Shaddai, Eliana Adonai. Age to age, you're still the same. By the power of the name El Shaddai, El Shaddai, Akamgana Adonai. We will praise and lift you high, El Shaddai. Through your love and through the ram, you saved the son of Abraham. Through the power on her hand, you turned the sea into dry land. To the outcast on her knees, you were the God who every sea. And by your might, you set your children free. El Shaddai, El Shaddai, Eliana Adonai. Age to age, you're still the same. By the power of the name El Shaddai, El Shaddai, Akamgana Adonai. We will praise and lift you high, El Shaddai. Dun, 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 dun. Through the years you made it clear that the time of Christ was near. Though the people couldn't see what Messiah to be, though your word contained the plan, they just could not understand. Your most awesome work was done through the frailty of your son. El Shaddai, El Shaddai, yeah, Adonai. Age to age, you're still the same. By the power of the name El Shaddai, El Shaddai, Hakamgana Adonai. We will praise and lift you high, El Shaddai. And that was El Shaddai. Amy Grant sings a version of it, but I don't think she wrote this. I just know that she sings a version of it. So all the songs that I'm gonna be singing are just gonna be a cappella to round this out. We're gonna do about 2 more songs, and then I'm gonna let you guys, or maybe 3 more, because you guys didn't really get to hear the beginning of the show. But they're all gonna be a cappella, even if they're not my own original songs, since the audio is not working. The reason I have to have the mic is because of the music. Because of YouTube's new rules that you can't live stream from your phone unless you have 1,000 subscribers. Well, I get around that and I do live stream from my phone, but the cost is the audio. Sounds really bad. Talking sounds just fine, but audio sounds really bad unless you have an external microphone to capture the music and my voice. And so I've been having a bit of technical difficulties with this, with getting that right. Sometimes it works beautifully, and then other times it won't. And the show was working just fine with the audio, and then Facebook, and then YouTube took down that video for inappropriate content. So I'm gonna have a dispute that. And yeah, that was that. So next we are going to do. So I did start off by singing "The Climb." I would sing it again, but I don't know if that's what triggered YouTube to say to take down my video, which I don't know how it would. But so instead, I'm going to sing once again a cappella, "Stand by Me." Because I think it's an important song to sing right now. I'm so sorry the show has to be a cappella, but sometimes, you just got to think on your feet. And when the night has come and the land is dark and the only light we'll see. No, I won't be afraid. No, I won't be afraid. Just as long as you stand by me. So, darling, darling, stand by me. Oh, stand by me. Oh, stand by me. Stand by me. If the sky that we look upon should tumble and fall, or the mountains should crumble to the sea, I won't cry, I won't cry, no, I won't shed a tear, just as long, just as long as you stand by me. And darling, darling, stand by me. Oh, stand by me. Stand by me. Stand now. Stand by me. Stand by me. And darling, darling, stand by me. Whoa, stand by me. Oh, stand now. Stand by me. Stand by me. Whenever you're in trouble, won't you stand by me? Stand by me. Stand now. Oh, stand by me. Whenever you're in trouble, stand by me. Whoa, stand by me. Stand by me. All right, so that was "Stand By Me." Now, I know it's a little weird without the background music, but then you need to get through it. Um, Next, I want to do the song "There's Hope" a cappella once again. Sorry about that. And then I will wrap up the show. And once again, I apologize for all the difficulties. Back when I had a little, I thought that I needed a lot. A little was overrated, but a lot was a little too complicated. You see, zero didn't satisfy me, a million didn't make me happy. That's when I learned a lesson that it's all about your perception, and you a papa or a superstar. So you act, so you feel, so you are. It ain't about the size of your car, it's about the size of the faith in your heart. There's hope. Doesn't cost a thing to smile. You don't have to pay to laugh. You better thank God for that. There's hope. It doesn't cost a thing to smile. You don't have to pay to laugh. You better thank God for that. There's hope. Off in the backcountry of Brazil, I met a young brother that made me feel that I could accomplish anything. See, just like me, he wanted to sing. He had no windows and no doors. He lived a simple life and was extremely poor. Top of all of that, he had no eyesight. That didn't keep him from seeing the light. He said, "What's it like in the USA?" And all I did was complain. He said, "Living here is paradise." He told me paradise is in your mind. There's hope, it doesn't cost a thing to smile. You don't have to pay to laugh. You better thank God for that. There's hope, it doesn't cost a thing to smile. You don't have to pay to laugh. You better thank God for that. You better thank God for that. Every time I turn on the TV, somebody's acting crazy. If you let it, it will drive you crazy. But I'm taking my power today. Gas prices, they keep on rising. The government keep on lying. But we gotta keep on surviving. Letting our truth do the best we can do. There's hope. Doesn't cost a thing to smile. You don't have to pay to laugh. You better thank God for that. There's hope. It doesn't cost a thing to smile. You don't have to pay to laugh. You better thank God for that. There's hope. There's hope. So stand up for your rights. Keep shining your light and show the world your smile. Stand up for your rights. Keep shining your light and show the world your smile. There's hope. It doesn't cost a thing to smile. You don't have to pay to laugh. You better thank God for that. There's hope. It doesn't cost a thing to smile. You don't have to pay to laugh. You better thank God for that. There's hope. There's hope. There's hope. There's hope. Oh, I know what song I want to do. Um, uh, it's by Francesca Battistelli. You can have it. They should have it. It's one of her most popular songs. Well, maybe I'll just have to look up the lyrics. I'm just gonna look up the. Um, where is the song? This is the stuff. I think that's what it must be called. Hold on. I'm sorry. I know the song. Just okay. Here it is. Okay. This is the stuff by Francesca Battistelli. I lost my key in the great unknown. And someone called me, please, 'cause I can't find my phone. Oh, this is the stuff that drives me crazy. This is the stuff that getting to me lately in the middle of my little mess. I forget how big I'm blessed. This is the stuff that gets under my skin. But I gotta trust. You know exactly what you're doing. Might not be what I would choose. This is the stuff you do. 45 in a 35. Sirens finds sirens and fines while I'm running behind. Whoa, this is the stuff that drives me crazy. This is the stuff that's getting to me lately in the middle of my little mess. I forget how big I'm blessed. This is the stuff that gets under my skin, but I gotta trust. You know exactly what you're doing, might not be what I would choose. This is the stuff you use to break me of impatience, conquer my frustrations. Got a new appreciation. It's not the end of the world. This is the stuff that drives me crazy. This is the stuff. Someone save me in the middle of my little mess. I forget how big I'm blessed. This is the stuff that gets under my skin. But gotta trust. You know exactly what you're doing. Might not be what I would choose. This is the stuff you use. This is the stuff you use. Thank you guys for joining me tonight on what turned out to be an a cappella show. And don't forget to vote. It's very important to vote. And want to thank once again Barbara Arnwine for being on the show tonight, sharing us information. And I'm going to cut out the first part of this video. So, I mean, if you're watching it live, yeah. Thank you so much, Vinny Cola, for letting us know. Thank you to all our new subscribers. We're up to 362, which is a reminder. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button. Give this video a like if you liked it, and share it if you think it can help other people. And don't forget to join us and follow us on Twitter, and definitely follow Barbara Arnwine. She's always just dropping knowledge on Twitter at Barb73. And yeah, now we're gonna do the flop. Thanks for all the views, thanks for all the love, thanks for all the comments and that you've done. Scared you loud, I hope you had a good time. Next week is another one. So thanks for all the views, thanks for all the love, thanks for all the comments and that you've done. Karaoke Live, I hope you had a good time. Next week is another one. Every Friday night at 9 p.m. Eastern Time. And deuces. Thank you guys so much.